Bueno, pues vamos a dar comienzo con el último debate de la jornada en inglés que precede al debate en español. En esta ocasión se van a enfrentar dos equipos de cuarto de ESO, el IES la Zafra de Motril contra el IES Al-Ándalus de Almuñécar. Entonces, es un honor para mí presentar este encuentro tropical. Así que... claro, el encuentro del aguacate. Así que si el público lo desea puede tomar asiento y para poder comenzar. O irse también. Vale. Pues comenzamos con el equipo que defiende la postura a favor. Okay, we're going to start with the team IES la Zafra with the first speaker. The first speaker from IES Al-Ándalus de Almuñécar. So, whenever you are ready, el primer debatiente puede tomar la palabra.
Good morning everybody and welcome to this event. I'm Esme and I would like to start by introducing the rest of my team. We're arguing in support of the government imposed COVID restrictions. In my group we also have Lucia as first speaker, Cecilia to introduce our second argument and Victor to conclude. We will present an argument showing that due to how contagious this virus is and the number of people worldwide that have been affected, these restrictions, where they have been properly taken and applied, appear to have been effective in lowering the cases and infections and deaths. Our argument is that the government restrictions have been put in place to help the country by protecting the population from this deadly virus. These restrictions have enabled us to deal with the disease and continue to live our everyday lives without too much difficulty. Even though we have temporarily lost some freedom, we argue short-term restrictions on our liberty is justified, as it genuinely saves lives. The restrictions are limited in that we have not been disenfranchised nor lost access to our housing or education. It is clear that such restrictions should be carefully considered and applied by the national government for consistency and fairness across the whole country. Overall, due to the circumstances of a global pandemic and the nature of the required controls, we'll present an argument that the government-imposed restrictions are reasonable. Thank you for listening. Please enjoy the debate.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we go with the first speaker, la introductora del Team IES la Zafra. Cuando quiera usted, tiene uso de la palabra.
Hello, good morning everybody. We are students for the fourth year from the high school IES la Zafra. This team is formed by Carmen, the first speaker, Martina, the second speaker, and Claudia as the concluder, and I, Florencia, as introductor. Our team is going to talk about why we are against or restrict some of the human liberty during a health emergency. Firstly, Carmen will talk about why it's necessary to restrict some of the liberties and also about the collapses in the hospitals. Then Martina will talk about the consequences of finishing a person's liberty when it starts the others. I'm sorry, I read. Sorry. First, Carmen will talk about the measures which do not restrict civil rights. I read them. Firstly, Carmen will talk about the measures which do not restrict civil rights and also about the action plan of the WHO that does not include measures that limit civil rights. Then Martina will talk about the measures which discriminate certain groups. And finally, Claudia will summarize all the arguments that will be spoken by them. Do you know what is a health emergency? Well, it is an extraordinary event which is determined to constitute a public healthy risk to other states through the international spread of disease and potentially require a coordinated international response. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we move on y pasamos a la segunda intervención del equipo que defiende la postura a favor del equipo sexitano IES Al-Ándalus. Por favor, tome usted la palabra.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lucia, and I'm the first reviewer of the team in favor of the restrictions. I'd like to remember that the reason these restrictions were imposed in the first place was to overcome the pandemic we are now facing. In order to stop the spread of the virus and slow down the speed of transmission, the restrictions need to be followed to protect public health. And the population must prioritize pursuing the greater good and the health of the citizens, especially the ones who are more vulnerable. We have evidence that the restrictions have turned out to be extremely useful. If we take a look at this graphic right here, we can clearly point out how we have managed to handle the outbreaks. Thanks to the restrictions, we've been able to track the locations where the outbreaks had taken place and immediately control the situation successfully. Now, at the beginning of the year 2020, the coronavirus came up abruptly as an unknown disease and a mortal one. So the main objective was to obviously stop it by any means. This is a serious situation that requires the collaboration of the whole population. It is certainly true that our freedom will remain restricted temporarily, but in order to save lives and return to normality, we must endure it for our own sake. Therefore, we firmly believe that the restrictions and the state of alarm are completely justified. As a final word, I'd like to mention this quote from Albert Green, which accurately shows the concept we defend. Responsibility is the price of freedom. Thank you for listening.
Ok, thank you very much. Ahora vamos a dar paso al siguiente interviniente del IES la Zafra. Recuerdo a ambos equipos que tienen ustedes derecho a realizar interpelaciones en cualquier momento. Solamente tienen que levantar la mano y el orador le dará paso en cuanto tenga oportunidad. Así que tome la palabra el siguiente interviniente de la Zafra, al estrado.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm here in quality of first speaker from IES la Zafra. Okay, first of all, I would like to speak about some things that the other team has said. They say that we must do things to stop the pandemic, right? But they say by any way. We believe that any way is not right because there is some limit that we must take in order that the governments can get all the power in their hands. Because if not, the human rights and the civil liberties will be destructive. Okay, we also want to say that we got some measures that didn't restrict humans' freedoms. Because if you wash your hands, you avoid contact, you use a mask, and you do social distances, this didn't restrict any civil liberties and will stop the pandemic. We got a study from the Health Ministry of Spain, which demonstrates that by implementing social distance measures, it reduced the number of infections by 70%. Okay, you want to speak?
Yes, those are restrictions, so you are saying you are, in fact, in favor of the restrictions.
Yes, we want to say that we want to do restrictions, but we don't want to restrict civil liberties. Like I have already said, these all measures will not restrict civil liberties. Okay, the one who says we are in a health emergency is the WHO. World Health Organization. They have a plan to do and to stop the pandemic, which is look up they got in their buys. Okay, when you travel, they can look what you want or what you are having, and we believe that this didn't restrict the civil liberties, but it will stop the pandemic. So as the WHO has a plan and doesn't restrict civil liberties, we believe that it must count. Okay, bye. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Excellent job. Okay, now it's going to be the turn for the next speaker del IES Al-Ándalus. Cuando quiera usted puede tomar el uso de la palabra.
Good afternoon, my name is Cecilia and I'm going to be the second rebuttal for the team 4. So, I believe my other team has said that some restrictions have been useful for this pandemic. And of course, I agree. We are in favor from these restrictions. But the thing is, we have noticed that most of the restrictions have in fact been useful, as my teammate has said and has shown in her graphic. Now, I want to point out something. A lot of countries have been feeling that this has been useful. Am I right? For example, North Korea, a place where when the first cause of this virus was detected, they closed the whole country, and when the first case was found in their country, they took the case and looked at it. They said, okay, let's see. This person has been infected. What can we do? And what they did was they took this person, tracked down everyone that person had been with, and that eliminated the case from coronavirus. Another place that did something similar was Brazil. Brazil was a place who said Brazil is nowadays, since the 30th of April from 2021, it is the second place with the most cases from coronavirus, having 14,600,000 cases, meaning they didn't handle COVID very well. But now they've noticed that they cannot do so and that they need to take restrictions in order to get the country to be better. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Excellent job. Ahora toma la palabra la siguiente refutadora del equipo IES la Zafra. Cuando quiera usted, tiene uso de la palabra.
Hi everyone, I am Martina and I'm going to be the second speaker from IES la Zafra. Well, first of all, I would like to make clear that we are not against measures, we are against restrict civil liberties in order to develop these measures. I would also like to say that measures which limit civil liberties prejudice against certain groups in society, such as people with mental health issues or people that have another illnesses, such as cancer. Well, therefore, if the measure must be, as said in the Spanish Constitution, necessary, proportional, and should not be discriminating, then this course of acting is unethical. Well, according also to a study published by the World Health Organization, the 60% of countries assert that mental health has been hardly affected by the pandemic, especially for children and for teenagers, that are the persons that have not just suffered from more mental issues, but have also have to experiment these kind of issues for the first time in their lives. I would also like to mention that cancer has been also a very problem in this pandemic, because hospitals has not been treating people with cancer as they used to do with COVID. Yeah.
May I ask a question? So you have said that this pandemic has affected the mental health of many people, but we have some evidence that have been a lot of places where they helped those people. For example, being Manos Unidas, many social media, and also the church. What do you have to say about that?
I repeat you that I have a study from the World Health Organization that said that 60% of countries assert that the mental health has been hardly affected in the pandemic. So yeah, I'm going to say that this is my argument to refute yours. For instance, I would like to say that what I was saying, cancer has not been treated equally. So the percentage of people that has been affected by cancer and killed by cancer during 2020 has been a total of the 40% of people that have died. Well, what I want to say with this is that COVID has not only made our lives change, but also it has killed not only by its own infection, but also by other illnesses. Thank you and hope you have enjoyed.
Okay, thank you very much for that powerful speech. We move on. Pasa ahora el turno al siguiente interviniente del IES Al-Ándalus. Cuando quiera, tiene usted uso de la palabra.
Good afternoon. My name is Victor, and I'm going to conclude the fourth team. First of all, I would like to thank my teammates and the opposing team, as well as you audience and the judges, for being here with us in this debate today. You have been a great opposing team, and I am grateful to be here and had this opportunity to be with all of you. To reiterate our point of view, I would like to emphasize the arguments we have said along this debate, both my team and my opponents, which I think have been excellent, but I'm convinced that our arguments have been stronger due to this evidence shown, such as the restrictions were imposed in order to stop the spread of virus, which prioritize the protection of the most vulnerable. As my partner Lucia shown, her graphic shows how thanks to the restrictions we were able to track the locations of the outbreaks and control the situation successfully. As Albert Green said, as my partner Lucia said, it's good to read to the responsibility is the price for freedom. As well, I would like to emphasize my partner Cecilia's arguments as the restrictions in North Korea, which has been excellent, and the case of Brazil, who weren't not great at the beginning, and then they started to do measures to protect their people. I would like also to reiterate some of my opponent's arguments, as they agree with the social distance, which I think that affirms our point, and how they reiterate about the damage of the mental health, and we just reiterate about how the church, Manos Unidas, and some associations like that have helped so much to them. As we have exposed, these restrictions were imposed in order to protect people and prevent the spread of the virus to the most vulnerable, which would have been catastrophic without the corresponding security measures during the pandemic, as they are designed to save lives. We think that temporarily losing part of our freedom is fair enough to protect everybody's lives against this virus, which indeed would have killed many more people had it not been for these measures. I hope you have enjoyed the debate. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Really, honestly, we have enjoyed a lot. Thank you for your job. Okay, and right now, Team La Zafra is going to have the honor to finish the English phase of this event of debate in Madrid. Así que el IES La Zafra terminará con la última intervención de la fase de debates en inglés del año 2020-2021 y dejamos la puerta abierta para repetir estos eventos de debate en inglés para otros años. Cierra la fase de debate el IES La Zafra. Tiene usted la palabra.
Good morning, my name is Claudia and I am the conclusion of my team.
First of all, I want to repeat the question. May a health emergency restrict civil liberties? My group has demonstrated through an argumental line that we are against restricting civil liberties. Our argumental line has based in 3 important arguments. The first one that the speaker one has talked about is that there are measures which do not restrain civil liberties. So we don't have to restrict civil liberties to cope with this situation. She has given us some samples such as washing your hands, avoiding contact, or wearing a mask. And also, we have proved that this works because by the health ministry of Spain said that social distancing reduces infection in 70%. So we know that we don't need to restrict civil liberties in a health emergency to cope with this situation, as I said. The first speaker of your group talked about protecting the more vulnerable people, but the measures which limit civil liberties discriminate against certain groups, such as how the second speaker talked about people with mental health issues. These are being discriminated because we are restricting the civil liberties because we are not taking account on them. The second speaker also talked about the action plan of the WHO, the World Health Organization. This plan does not include any measure that limits civil rights, so it's not in the plan. So why do we have to restrict civil liberties when it's not? We don't need to do that because we have, as I said before, we are measures that not restrict civil rights. So it's important to keep that in mind. Sorry, and also to finish, I want to thank all for coming, and I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you.
Muchas gracias a los dos equipos, felicitaciones, honestas decoración a los unos y a los otros, la habéis hecho estupendamente y ahora dejamos unos minutos al tribunal para hacer la deliberación y en cuanto terminen os darán su retroalimentación.
Es importantísimo.
Lo hace mejor en inglés que en español. Bueno, el otro.
Venga, soportamos una parte importante de aquí. No, ha hecho muchísimo.
Con sombrero, por supuesto.
Ah, que está grabando, que no lo he cortado. ¡Ah! ¡Visto que sí!